So I'm Claire Merritt, Senior Knowledge Exchange Coordinator at the Newton Gateway to Mathematics, and apparently I've got unstable internet connection, so hopefully I won't disappear. But just to say that we've got sessions today being chaired. We've got 2 sessions today being chaired. Most people are on webinar, so if you have questions that you'd like raised, if you can post those in the Q&A, and then the chair for each of the session will raise those on your behalf. If there isn't time in that particular session, then the speakers might then reply just separately within the Q&A. Just a reminder that panel people aren't able to post in the Q&A, but you can raise any questions in the chat. And for those that are joining as a participant, if you've got any sort of IT queries or any issues, if you post your query in the chat, probably best to send that to Claire Bonner or myself, Claire Merritt. But yeah, as I say, any questions, then let us know. And otherwise, I'll hand over to David Abrahams, who's going to do the first introduction today.
Thank you very much, Claire. So yes, I'm David Abrahams. I'm the current director of the Isaac Newton Institute, and it's my pleasure to give the formal welcome to everyone participating in this event. And as we know, it's been brought to you by the Newton Gateway to Mathematics, which is the knowledge exchange arm of the INI. So welcome back to all of you who have been to one or more of our many events over the last 16 months, and a special welcome to any of you who maybe are new to our activities. And I hope you will use this as a springboard for looking on our websites to see what else we have been and are planning to do in the future. A lot of that will still be COVID related, but the bulk of what we do isn't. So I'd just like to say a couple of words, if I might. It would have been lovely had we been back face to face by now, and I don't think many of us back in March 2020 would have believed that we would still not be in some semblance of normality. But of course, that justifies the continued research and activity of huge amounts of people giving their time and energies at an enormously active rate, exhausting rate to this. And we owe a great debt of gratitude to many of you who are in the audience and taking part. So thank you very much. In fact, the Gateway's just had a physical or a hybrid meeting over the last day. So it's a little bit weird to go back into Zoom world. So there is a hope that we are getting back, but I still suspect it'll be a long time before we're fully there. So INI is a visitor research institute. It has around 2,500 people passing through our doors in normal times. And so how does an institute that thrives on physical exchange between research individuals manage to cope in times where we're locked down? So we've tried to do our best to mobilize the mathematical sciences community to help in the efforts of many of you who are specialists in epidemiology, other aspects which relate to COVID-19. So we've still tried to run virtually instead of physically workshops, conferences, one-day meetings, etc. But one of the hardest challenges we had was to translate our bread and butter activity, which are long-term visitor research programs, into a virtual mode. And I'm grateful for Kira and many others, and Julia and others for our setting up of the Infectious Dynamics of Pandemics program, which started as a 4-6 month program and ended up running all of last year and into this year in a mode which is writing up challenge papers, which I believe long-term will be enormously beneficial in thinking about how we can be better prepared in the future activities. So again, I think the Institute has been helpful in doing that. The other thing that the Institute has done is for the Gateway to join forces with the International Centre for Mathematical Sciences, which is our sister entity in Edinburgh, and the Knowledge Transfer Network to create VChems, which is a virtual forum for, again, mobilizing the mathematical sciences community and others who are interested in indirect aspects of COVID. So few of us engaging in those activities are specialists in epidemiological modelling, but we can do other things. And VCEMS has run 20 odd activities over the last 16 months and has, I believe, made a very strong contribution. And indeed, the virtual study group ran a couple of weeks ago on COVID-19 safety in large spaces. And that was part of the RAMP continuity grant, which I'll conclude by leading on to Mike, who's going to say something about that. But what we can do in the Institute is really connect some of the relevant problem solving through to the problem holders. So at that virtual study group, we had the Edinburgh Fringe, Church of England, Bath Rugby Club, and a couple of other partners who really have problems that they want to solve in regard to holding events in large spaces. So that was enormously successful. And another of the events that we're running as part of RAMP continuity is this meeting itself. And at that, I think I'm going to pass on to Mike, who's going to say something about RAMP. But before I do that, I would just like to say that we work very closely with Kira and Julia and part of the Juniper Consortium. So Juniper Consortium is a really, I think, a very valuable way of connecting to the epidemiological community and bringing a broader community of mathematicians to engage and learn about what you're doing and translate what we can do to assist. So with that, it's a complex ecosystem, and Mike can perhaps give his position from the RAMP point of view as to the way forward. So thank you. And Mike, over to you.
Thank you, David. I will not speak at length. I'll just say a little bit about RAMP for any people here who don't know much about it. So RAMP was conceived last March, so March 2020, to help with the modelling efforts of SPI-M. It did various things, mostly in the first half of last year, involving recruiting volunteers, putting them in placements into SPI-M groups, setting up forums. We established a rapid review group, which still exists, and we did help establish the I&I program, the IDP program, which David just mentioned. We also convened a number of task teams on various topics, including environmental aerosol transmission, urban analytics, human dynamics in small spaces, new epidemic modeling, within host, comorbidities, structured expert judgment, several of which have evolved or mutated into ongoing loose collaborations of people with continuing interests in those topics. David mentioned already the RAMP continuity grant. So in terms of RAMP, which is convened, if you like, it has a steering committee convened by the Royal Society. The continuity grant funds a more focused range of activities than those I've just mentioned. One is to have an extra person at the Royal Society for policy landing work. So somebody who knows which bits of government can best benefit from new scientific information as it emerges from programs and events like the one today and tomorrow. The rapid review group continues, at least on standby. It may not be working flat out as it was for half of last year. But the main thing is that the continuity grant, which is an EPSERT grant, funds approximately 25 events like this one at the Newton Institute, delivered by the Newton Gateway team. Initially virtual, hopefully physical before too long. Various different formats, 1 to 4 days duration. And David's mentioned a couple of these already. This is the 5th that we've had. The first 2 were in April. They were on evolutionary implications of the vaccination program and environmental and aerosol transmission. Then in May, there was one on spatial models of social models of spatial and social behavior. David mentioned the VCEMS event a couple of weeks ago in large events, which have already produced outline documents that are for stakeholders such as the Edinburgh Fringe and Bath Rugby Club and so on. And obviously the kind of findings that they produced with these sort of case studies have wider implications that hopefully will be disseminated through the Royal Society and others. And then the fifth such event is the one starting today, Understanding the Generation Time. So the program looks excellent, and I don't want to waste any more of the time available by continuing to speak. So thanks everyone for coming, and we're looking forward to another excellent meeting in the next day or two.